5 years with Sophia, 5 years of building a life together, planning a future, and supporting each other through thick and thin. I invested $75,000 of my savings to help her open the boutique she always dreamed of. Every penny I had saved given freely, because I believed in her and our shared future. But just 1 week after the grand opening, while the champagne bottles were barely empty, she sat me down for what she called a serious talk. With the confidence that only comes from financial security, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Darius, I think I have outgrown you." But what she did not realize is that I had a plan B she never saw coming. Before I tell you how her self-made boutique now puts money in my pocket every month, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment if you have ever had someone underestimate your business savvy. Trust me, you will want to hear how this story ends. I should start from the beginning. I am Darius, 32 years old, and until this whole situation, I considered myself a fairly successful software developer in Chicago. I have always been practical with my money, investing smartly and planning for the future. My friends would describe me as the reliable one, the guy who always has a contingency plan. That caution extends to every part of my life, including relationships. Before Sophia, I dated selectively and seriously. I met Sophia at a charity event hosted by my company 5 years ago. She was working for the event planning team, coordinating everything with an energy that was immediately captivating. While I observed from the sidelines, she commanded the room, making adjustments to decorations and charming corporate executives with equal ease. Her dark hair was pulled back in a professional bun, but a few rebellious curls framed her face. It was those little imperfections, the humanity beneath the polished exterior, that drew me in. When we finally talked, the conversation flowed naturally. She was passionate about fashion, describing her dream of one day owning a boutique that would showcase emerging designers alongside her own curated selections. I admired her vision and creativity, qualities I sometimes felt I lacked in my analytical profession. "What do you bring to the table besides writing code?" she asked me playfully during that first conversation. "Stability," I answered honestly, "and the ability to see both the forest and the trees." She laughed at that. "Perfect. I am all forest and no trees. We would balance each other out." That became the foundation of our relationship. I was the planner, the one who made sure we had savings and insurance and retirement accounts. She was the dreamer, pulling me into experiences I might have otherwise avoided. We moved in together after 2 years, finding a spacious apartment in Wicker Park that was a compromise between my desire for a reasonable commute and her love of trendy neighborhoods. The proposal came a year later, on a weekend trip to Michigan. Nothing extravagant, just a simple question asked on a quiet beach at sunset. She said yes immediately, jumping into my arms with such force we both fell into the sand laughing. That night, as we celebrated with champagne in our hotel room, she shared more details about her boutique dreams. "I would call it Sophia Elaine," she said, using her first and middle names. "I would focus on helping women find their signature style, not just selling them whatever is trending." "That sounds amazing," I encouraged. "But maybe you should get more experience first. Work at some high-end boutiques. Learn the business side of fashion." She nodded, taking my advice with uncharacteristic humility. Within a month, she had secured a position at an upscale women's clothing store in the Gold Coast neighborhood. She threw herself into the job, learning everything from inventory management to visual merchandising. But after a year, her frustration became obvious. "They will not let me implement any of my ideas," she complained one night over dinner. "The owner is stuck in the past, selling the same conservative styles to the same aging customers." Around this time, Sophia began socializing with a new crowd. Fashion school graduates, aspiring designers, and social media influencers became regular names in her stories. They all seemed to have one thing in common: family money that allowed them to pursue creative careers without financial worry. Increasingly, she compared our life unfavorably to theirs. Jessica just opened her own jewelry studio in Bucktown. Her parents helped with the initial investment, she would say. Or Michael launched his clothing line last month. His family knows people in manufacturing. I began to notice small changes in Sophia. Designer purses appeared in our closet despite our agreement to discuss any purchase over $300. Weekend brunches with her new friends became prioritized over our traditional Sunday morning hikes. Even her style evolved, becoming more edgy and experimental, less the classic elegance I had first been attracted to. After particularly rough months of hearing about everyone else's fashion success, I made a decision that would change everything. Over a special dinner I had prepared, I proposed a new kind of commitment. "What if we used my savings to open your boutique?" I suggested. "I have $75,000 set aside. It is not family money, but it is a start." Her reaction was everything I had hoped for. She launched herself into my arms, crying happy tears and kissing me repeatedly. "Are you serious? You would do that for me? For us? For us?" I confirmed, not realizing how that distinction would later become so important. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of planning and preparation. We searched for the perfect location, eventually finding a small storefront in Lincoln Park, an affluent neighborhood with the right demographic for Sophia's vision. The rent was steep, but the foot traffic and prestige of the address seemed worth it. Being my cautious self, I insisted on handling the lease negotiations personally. The landlord, an older gentleman who owned several properties in the area, seemed impressed by my thoroughness. While Sophia focused on designing the interior layout, I carefully reviewed every clause in the rental agreement. Most importantly, I made sure the lease was in my name with Sophia, listed as the operating manager. At the time, this seemed like a simple legal protection for both of us. "Just sign here," I told her, pointing to the operating agreement I had drafted. "This protects us both and makes everything official." Sophia barely glanced at the papers. "Can we do this later? I need to meet with suppliers today, and this legal stuff is so boring." I should have insisted, but I was too caught up in her excitement. The papers remained unsigned as we moved forward with our plans. The financial breakdown of our investment was meticulously planned by me and casually approved by Sophia. $25,000 went to the security deposit and renovations, transforming the bland retail space into a bohemian chic boutique with Instagram-worthy corners and excellent lighting. $40,000 purchased the initial inventory, display fixtures, and interior decor. The remaining $10,000 was set aside for marketing and contingency expenses. As the opening approached, I noticed subtle shifts in how Sophia discussed the business. Phone calls to friends began with, "My boutique is coming along beautifully," rather than, "our boutique." When I pointed this out, she laughed it off. "You are being so sensitive. Of course, it is our project, but I am the face of the brand, so I have to own it publicly." The grand opening was scheduled to coincide with a popular neighborhood festival to maximize foot traffic. Sophia had leveraged her connections to secure mentions from several fashion influencers and even a small feature in a local lifestyle magazine. I took 2 weeks off work to help with final preparations, often staying at the store until midnight, arranging merchandise and finalizing details. On opening day, I arrived early to find Sophia already there, making last-minute adjustments to a window display. She looked stunning in a black jumpsuit she had designed herself, her confidence radiating as she prepared to welcome customers. "This is it," I said, kissing her cheek. "Your dream is becoming reality." She smiled briefly before turning back to the display. "The photographer will be here at 10. Can you make sure the back room is organized before then? I do not want any behind-the-scenes shots looking messy." Throughout the day, I found myself relegated to background tasks, restocking shelves, processing payments, bringing water to Sophia as she charmed customers and posed for photos. The boutique was packed with many items selling out before closing time. By any measure, the launch was a tremendous success. At the small celebration afterwards, Sophia gave a heartfelt speech thanking her fashion school friends, her social media supporters, and various mentors she had met along the way. My contribution received a brief acknowledgement almost as an afterthought, and of course thanks to Darius for his support. As I drove us home that night, Sophia scrolled through the hundreds of photos from the day, selecting ones for social media. "The beginning of Sophia Elaine," she said dreamily. my very own fashion empire. I smiled and squeezed her hand, ignoring the strange emphasis on my, and focusing instead on how happy she looked. After all, her happiness had been the whole point. The boutique had been open exactly 7 days when everything fell apart. I had returned to my regular work schedule, but planned to stop by the store that evening to help with inventory. Sophia texted me midday, asking if we could have dinner at home instead. She needed to talk about something important. I arrived home to find her sitting at our dining table, an unusual stillness about her. No music played in the background. No half-completed fashion sketches covered the table. Just Sophia, a glass of wine, and a determined expression I had never seen before. "We need to talk about us," she began, her voice steady. "I have been doing a lot of thinking this week about the store, my career, and our relationship." I sat down across from her, feeling a strange sense of dread building in my stomach. "Okay, what about us? I think I have outgrown you, Darius." 5 words that made absolutely no sense to me. I stared at her, waiting for more explanation, for some context that would make this statement less shocking. "The boutique has shown me what I am capable of," she continued. "The connections I am making, the creative people I am meeting, they are taking me in a new direction. I need space to grow into this new version of myself." "What exactly are you saying?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I think we should postpone the wedding indefinitely, and I would like to get my own place, something closer to the store." The calm, businesslike way she delivered this news was almost worse than the content itself. As if she were discussing a minor schedule change, rather than the dissolution of our 5-year relationship. "So, you are breaking up with me," I stated, needing to hear the words explicitly. I would not call it breaking up. I would call it recognizing that we are on different paths now. I sat there trying to process what was happening. 1 week ago, we were engaged, planning a wedding, and celebrating the culmination of our shared dream. Now she was talking about different paths, as if we had been casual acquaintances all along. "And the boutique?" I finally asked. "The $75,000 of my savings that made your dream possible." Her expression shifted slightly. A flash of something like guilt, quickly replaced by confidence. "I appreciate your investment in my project. Of course, I will treat it as a loan and pay you back when the boutique becomes profitable." "A loan," I repeated incredulously. "Sophia, that was not a loan. That was our future. We were building something together." She sighed, as if I were being deliberately obtuse. "Let us be honest, Darius. It was always my dream, my vision. You were supporting me, which I appreciate, but the boutique is my achievement." In that moment, I realized how completely I had misread our relationship. While I had seen us as partners building a life together, she had seen me as a stepping stone, a means to an end. The boutique was not our future, but her ticket to a different life, one that apparently did not include me. "I need the money back," I said firmly. "If this was a loan, as you say, then I need repayment." Her expression hardened. "That is impossible right now. Everything is tied up in inventory and operating expenses. The boutique is just getting started. Then sell some inventory. Take out a business loan. Figure it out," I insisted, anger finally breaking through my shock. "Do not be ridiculous. That would kill the business before it even has a chance. You know that." We argued for hours, going in circles without resolution. Eventually, Sophia announced she would be staying with a friend that night and went to pack a bag. As she moved around our bedroom gathering belongings, I noticed her phone light up with a text. The name on the screen was Gabriel, followed by a heart emoji. A name I had heard mentioned as an up-and-coming local designer she had met while sourcing merchandise. The pieces suddenly clicked into place. This was not just about the boutique or her career. There was someone else, someone who fit better with her new image as a boutique owner and fashion entrepreneur. Someone who had not known her when she was just an event planner with a dream. After she left, I spent hours researching. I discovered Sophia had registered a trademark for Sophia Elaine 6 months ago, long before we had discussed using my savings for the boutique. She had opened a separate business bank account 3 months ago. She had been planning this methodically, creating a business that would be solely hers despite using my money to fund it. The next day, while Sophia was at the store, I watched her Instagram stories. There she was confidently helping customers, sharing new arrivals, and talking about my journey as a business owner. Not a single mention of me or my contribution. According to her public narrative, she was a self-made entrepreneur who had manifested her dreams through hard work and determination. Over the next week, Sophia gradually moved more of her things out of our apartment. Each time she came by, she was distant but polite, as if we were acquaintances with a slightly awkward shared history. She made no further mention of repaying the money, and deflected whenever I brought it up. The engagement ring I had saved for months to buy sat untouched on her dresser, apparently not worth taking. After 2 weeks of alternating between devastation and anger, I decided to take control of the situation. If Sophia wanted to play business owner, I would show her what that really meant. My first step was consulting with my friend Thomas, a corporate attorney. I brought him copies of all the documentation I had related to the boutique, the lease agreement bank, transfers, receipts for equipment and inventory, even text messages discussing the business. The good news is that you have significant leverage, Thomas explained after reviewing everything. The lease is in your name, and you can document that the startup funds came from your personal accounts. The bad news is that without a formal business agreement, the situation is messy. What would you recommend? I asked. Form an LLC for property management. Transfer the lease from your name to the company. Then draft a formal sublease agreement for Sophia at a rate that will eventually recoup your investment. The plan was audacious, but legal. I established Darius Williams Property Management LLC and transferred the lease from my personal name to the company with the landlord's approval. Then I drafted a new rental agreement for Sophia that included a base rent 15% above market rate, plus 5% of monthly revenue. With the paperwork prepared, I requested a meeting with Sophia at the boutique after closing hours. She arrived looking confident and slightly annoyed at the interruption to her schedule. "What is so important that we need to meet in person?" she asked, settling into one of the elegant chairs she had selected for customers. I placed 2 folders on the counter between us. "You have 2 options. Option 1, you repay the $75,000 within 30 days. Option 2, you sign this new lease agreement." Her expression shifted from annoyance to confusion as she opened the first folder. "What are you talking about? What new lease agreement?" "The lease for this space is in my name," I explained calmly. "I have transferred it to my property management company, and now you need a formal agreement to continue operating here." She laughed incredulously. "You cannot be serious. This is my boutique." "The boutique is your business," I agreed, "but the legal right to occupy this space is mine. Check the original lease if you do not believe me." Her confidence faltered as she read through the new agreement, eyes widening at the terms. "This is extortion. 15% above market rate, plus 5% of revenue. That is insane." "Actually, it is business," I countered. "You said yourself that the $75,000 was a loan. This is simply a structured repayment plan with interest distributed over the term of the lease." Sophia switched tactics, her voice softening as she reached across the counter to touch my arm. "Darius, come on. We were together for 5 years. We loved each other. Do you really want to do this?" I gently moved my arm away. "This is not about our past relationship. This is about respecting agreements and taking responsibility. You wanted to be a self-made business owner. Well, this is part of running a business. I will find another location," she threatened. "You certainly could," I acknowledged. "But you would lose your security deposit, all the custom renovations you have made, and the customer base you have started to build. Plus, commercial leases in this neighborhood are hard to find, especially with your limited credit history." For the next hour, Sophia alternated between threats, pleas, and attempts at negotiation. I remained firm on the terms, knowing I had carefully calculated what the business could bear, while still ensuring I would eventually recoup my investment. Finally, she sighed in defeat. "Fine. I will sign the lease. But I want it noted that I am doing this under protest." Noted, I replied, sliding the contract toward her. As she signed each page with angry, forceful strokes, I felt no satisfaction, only a hollow vindication that at least I would not be completely used and discarded. 6 months passed, and to my surprise, Sophia Elaine Boutique became more successful than either of us had anticipated. Her curated selection of clothing and accessories developed a loyal following, and her social media presence grew exponentially. Each month, the agreed-upon percentage of revenue increased along with her success. From a distance, I observed as Sophia positioned herself as a self-made entrepreneurial success story. Her Instagram bio read, "Founder and creative director of Sophia Elaine Boutique, turning dreams into reality through hard work and vision." Local business magazines featured her in 30 under 30 lists and women in business spotlights. In every interview, she crafted a narrative of independent success, conveniently omitting the $75,000 investment that made it all possible. Meanwhile, I used the monthly income from the boutique lease to invest in additional commercial properties. I purchased a small retail space in an up-and-coming neighborhood and leased it to a local artist selling handcrafted jewelry. Then I acquired part ownership in a building with 3 commercial units. My property management company grew from a legal necessity into a genuine side business with actual potential. Through mutual friends, I heard about developments in Sophia's personal life. Her relationship with Gabriel, the designer, had imploded spectacularly when he discovered the truth about her financial arrangement with me. Apparently, she had told him she owned the boutique property outright, and learning about our agreement damaged his perception of her as an independent businesswoman. Around the 8-month mark, I began receiving texts from Sophia that went beyond our formal business relationship. At first, they were casual. "Saw your mom at Whole Foods, she says hi," or "Remember that restaurant we loved in Pilsen? They are closing next month." Gentle attempts to reestablish a personal connection. When I responded politely but briefly, the messages became more direct. "I miss our talks. No one knows me like you do. I made a mistake letting you go." I deleted each message without responding, but they continued with increasing frequency. Flowers arrived at my apartment with apologetic notes. A watch I had once admired appeared at my office with a card reading, "To new beginnings." Finally, almost a year after our breakup, Sophia requested another in-person meeting. Professional curiosity, more than emotional attachment, led me to accept. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop equidistant from her boutique and my office. She looked good, I had to admit. Success agreed with her. The confident posture and fashion-forward outfit matched the image she had crafted for herself. But something in her eyes seemed different, less certain than the woman who had told me she had outgrown me. "Thank you for meeting me," she began. "I know I am probably the last person you want to see." "It is fine," I replied. "What did you want to discuss?" She took a deep breath. "I made a terrible mistake, Darius. Walking away from you was the worst decision of my life." I sipped my coffee, saying nothing, waiting for her to continue. "Yes, the boutique is successful. Yes, I have accomplished something I am proud of. But it is empty without someone to share it with. Someone who believed in me from the beginning. Someone who funded your dream," I added quietly. She nodded, having the grace to look ashamed. "I was wrong to take your support for granted. Wrong to treat your investment as something I was entitled to. And most of all, wrong to think I had outgrown you." "What exactly are you saying, Sophia?" "I want us to try again," she said, reaching for my hand across the table. "We could be amazing together, combining your business sense with my creative vision. I would add your name to all the business documents, make you an official partner in Sophia Elaine. And Darius Williams' property management would no longer be necessary." I concluded, seeing the full picture. She had the decency to blush slightly. "Well, it would simplify things if the business was truly ours together. The current arrangement is complicated to explain to people." And there it was. Her reconciliation attempt was at least partially motivated by wanting to rewrite the narrative, to remove the embarrassing detail that her self-made boutique was actually funded by her ex-fiancé, who now collected rent and a percentage of Passet, her sales. I appreciate your honesty, I said gently, withdrawing my hand from hers. But I am not interested in reconciliation. Her face fell. Is there someone else? That is not relevant, I replied. What matters is that I have learned too much about myself and about you to go backwards. You taught me an expensive but valuable lesson about protecting my interests and recognizing my worth. I have changed, she insisted, tears forming in her eyes. I know what I lost now. I am glad for your success, Sophia. Truly, the boutique is everything you dreamed it would be, and you should be proud. But our paths did diverge, just not in the way you initially thought. I have built something for myself now, too. As I stood to leave, she made one last attempt. We were good together once. We could be again. I smiled gently. Some investments are not worth making twice, no matter how promising they seem. Today, 2 years after that fateful text message, my life looks completely different. Darius Williams. Property management now oversees 6 commercial properties, providing a substantial second income alongside my software development career. I am dating a wonderful woman named Tara, an architect who appreciates ambition but values partnership above all. Sophia continues to run her successful boutique, which has expanded to include her own small clothing line. Every month, right on schedule, she transfers the agreed-upon rent plus percentage to my company account. Our interactions are strictly professional now, limited to lease renewals and occasional maintenance issues. Sometimes I see her featured in local media, still telling the story of her self-made success. I no longer feel anger when I hear this narrative, just a quiet amusement. After all, I know the true story, and so does she. Perhaps the most satisfying outcome is not the monthly payments, but the knowledge that I found strength and business acumen I never knew I possessed. The investment I made was not just in Sophia's boutique, but in my own self-discovery. I learned that supporting someone else's dreams should never come at the expense of protecting yourself. I learned that contracts matter more than promises. And most importantly, I learned that sometimes the most painful experiences lead to the most valuable growth. Have you ever had an experience that taught you to value yourself more in business or relationships? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life lessons. Do not forget to share this video with someone who might need to hear this message about standing up for themselves. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best investment you will ever make is in your own worth and future.